It says we're streaming live, and I know that even though we don't see it, it's still recording. So I'm going to start talking right now. Start talking. I'll talk. I thought putty tat. Okay, here we go. So for those of you who are teachers' pets in the classroom, just know we did not coordinate our outfit 2 months in a row. Second of all, need for you guys, or look at this. I get to.
Oh, you got that. Oh, that's good.
There we go. There's our screen. There's our screen. I want you guys to start sharing, liking, following, tagging. You know, sometime soon, we're going to have to do some giveaways at Live Longer Medical and really get the people in. Let's see. Are we on, Robert?
Yes, you're live on both.
Oh, we are live on both. For some reason, it doesn't show on mine.
Yep, I'm watching.
But that's okay. Okay, perfect. And so as soon as we are live on both, I am going to get started here. Let's see. And once we're live, Lisa, you can share it on your page.
You are live on both.
On both, but you can share it on Live Longer Medical too. So
I should do that.
And I'm not seeing it on mine, but that's okay. I'll trust all of you. And so today we're going to talk about the importance of IV therapy. And so let me go ahead and get my recorder on, because I've done that before where I have not recorded. And that's not good if I don't record, for those of you who are watching later on BitChute or listening later on podcasts. So today we're going to be continue talking about how to stay above this COVID-19, whether it's COVID-19, flu, tired, or there's lots of different conditions why IV therapy will help you feel even better. So fasten your seatbelts, because we're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, everybody.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time to the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, every time that Lisa Geyer, the owner of Live Longer Medical, right here in our backyard in Atlantic, Florida, is in the classroom, we have a lot of fun. Today, Tina is out of town, and because of a time difference, she's going to be joining us possibly next time. But this time, it's Lisa and I, and I just absolutely adore our conversations. So as we are getting ready to come out of quarantine for some places are still in quarantine. Many of us in Florida are like trying to grow our feathers on our wings so that we can fly and soar. So we're still in like partial opening, but there's still a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are coming out of the shadows, basically not having sunlight on their face for 3 months, or whatever your situation is today, whether if you're feeling well, if you're not feeling well, this is an alternative solution. We've heard of the vaccines that are out there that are being made. but they're not there right now. And so right now we have to look at what we have today. And so, not saying that you need to look at vaccines in the future. I'm just saying that we look at everything here in the classroom. And so Lisa and I talked about how, IV therapy is so important. That's the first thing I did once they announced quarantine. That would be right before we went into quarantine. I went to Live Longer Medical. I even showed pictures of it. And Lisa hooked me up with a wonderful IV. And every time I feel a little run down, she'll hook me up with a wonderful IV. And so today we're going to talk about how you too can get hooked up with a wonderful IV that is a natural and healthy and alternative way to heal your body. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I'm grateful that my friend Lisa Geyer is here to do just that. Welcome back, Lisa, to the
Thank
classroom.
you. Always fun to be here.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it
And
every time.
second month in a row wearing the same color.
Oh, what
Didn't
the
even,
heck?
I
Yeah.
almost fell off my chair when I saw you with your royal blue. Who wears royal blue? I do. You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about IVs. First of all, let's talk about a little bit about Live Longer Medical. What is your mission for Live Longer Medical? What's your plan for people?
I think our goal, our mission is to help patients either restore their health or maintain their health. And we look at the root cause of illness. So one size doesn't fit all. And we take the time to look at the unique biochemistry of each patient and try to give them what works for them, not what works for necessarily everyone else. So there are different things you can do depending on someone's particular health condition.
Well, as you know, nobody is deficient in oxycodone. Nobody is deficient in Zoloft. Nobody's deficient in chemotherapy or radiation.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're reintroducing into the body what is deficient, right? Was this what
Exactly.
the IV therapies are for?
Right. And sometimes it's a boost. It really depends on what someone has going on. In 1994, that's when I received my first IV therapy.
Wow.
And it was very new to me at the time. I'd heard about it. I had read about it. From my experience, that time it was listening to some of the messages that Dr. John Myers was providing about his Myers cocktail, as they call it. I know they're using that everywhere, even in hospitals now. So that's just kind of where I began that journey. And then from there, really learned about all the different things you can do with an IV therapy. And, it depends, again, on the patient and what their needs are. You may have just had a very stressful week and you just feel depleted, and you can come and get a boost. And sometimes a Myers cocktail is all you need. And that's a very, small IV. It's a 100 ml bag, and it might take you 20 minutes to get one. So, again, there's lots of different conditions that you can use an IV therapy for.
So what's in the Myers cocktail that he made so famous?
So, he had vitamin C, magnesium, some B vitamins, and I'm thinking a little potassium. And some trace minerals. So, and they were very low doses, but it really made a difference for a patient, especially if they weren't feeling well. They just, were lacking energy, or they were starting to feel like they were getting sick. It was just a wonderful boost. And you can do it long ago. They did it actually in a very large syringe and just pretty much gave it very quickly. Many clinics use a small IV bag. And it's just 100 ml, so it doesn't take very long to get it. So,
depending on how your body is absorbing it, it may take a little longer.
People have asked me, will I notice something with the first IV? And it really varies person to person. I remember a patient that we had that wasn't getting out of bed, and it had been a very long time for this patient. And it took them months of getting IVs once a week, and then they started to feel better. But most patients, they'll get an IV, and even if it's just a Myers cocktail, a small one, they'll notice it right away and feel amazing. And it gives them a bit of a jolt and kind of brings them back to life, so to speak. So, and then, the next question people will say, why an IV? Why can't I just, take all of these things in a pill form? And, the benefit of getting an IV is that it bypasses your gut. So when you take something orally, the statistics show, depending on your absorption, you could lose 30 to 50% of what you're taking in. And, then add to that, it might not be a very high quality vitamin. So, that's a benefit of IV therapy, is that it is immediately available to your cells. So the reaction time and the benefits are very quick.
So if it's immediately available to our cells, that means that it's a cellular, it's the combination is like cell to cell, or is it because, we talk about nanoparticles and making things smaller, but is this more absorbable by the body because it's about the same size of a cell? I mean, how does that work?
I don't know exactly the size, because I would guess most of these nutrients have different sizes. I'm not a good biochemist. I am taking a biochemistry course, so it doesn't mean I can answer that one. But it's just more that it's bioavailable. It's available immediately to the body, and so the cells can use it right away. And I know my daughter a year ago. She was in school, and I think it's been a year, she had mono, which was shocking because I have 6 children and not one has had mono. But, she was just overstressed and pushing herself, and she's a rower, and she just depleted everything. She was wiped out, and she got an enormous IV. We made sure she got a very large 500 ml bag, and it, by the time she was done, she was absolutely feeling better. So it can make an immediate difference if you're really struggling with something.
So if it's bypassing the gut, that means it's also bypassing the liver. It's also bypassing the kidneys. No, does it bypass the kidneys because you urinate through the kidneys?
Right.
How does that?
It's not going to bypass them, because you're going to still, you're going to pass that through your kidneys.
Thinking out loud. Okay, so it just as I was saying, I'm like, okay, well, so I want to remind all of you who are joining us right now, I cannot see who you are unless you make a comment. Tell us who you are from. If you have any question for Lisa about IV therapy, maybe this is the first time that you are hearing about IV therapy and you want to learn a little bit more about it, but you have a particular condition, a particular situation, and you'd like to ask Lisa. Lisa's been how long have you been working with alternative functional medicine?
Well, I was very young. I started when I was 19, and then I had a radio program. I co-hosted a radio program, and then we wrote a book, and I did videos, and I was on a lot of different television shows during that time. So I started really in my 20s. So from there, though, when I actually would call it working in that field very intensely, would be 1994.
1994. So you were hooked right away, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to that, let's talk about what happens when we are drained and we take a pill, and that goes through our liver and it goes through our body, our digestive system. What are the side effects potentially from taking medication that we're prescribed to get energy? Or we're not talking nutraceuticals, we're talking about medication.
Everyone is so biochemically unique, and the way people react. If I am told, if I need Advil, and I can't tell you when I've taken an Advil before, it's probably been years, but if it says to take 2 and I take 1, so my sensitivity is unique, and I don't use a lot of those things. But there are people that it takes a lot for things to work for them, and it takes them a while to process or methylate whatever they're taking or absorbing. So I have to say it's very different, but ultimately one medication can cause a negative side effect. And then if you're combining medications, you're also going to have negative side effects. And I think it's, I look at medicine as a way to look at each person's uniqueness, their biochemistry, how they process what they're taking, how they process what they're eating. Even our diet can absolutely be draining. If people are consuming, you know, significant amounts of caffeine in a day or lots of sugar. You know, sugar immediately will weaken the immune system. So, you know, when you're looking at a person and you're trying to decide what they need, you really have to know a lot about them. And you have to take the time to work with that individual and listen to their story. And also ask a lot of questions. You know, what are you eating? What's your diet look like? You know, and if people have, you know, an abysmal diet, you know, you have to start with that too, because even though you can give nutrients, you'd have to get an IV every day to probably get what you need in what you're eating. So, and, you know, then there's all the diets, which I call, you know, don't insist on an eating trauma, because if you put someone on a diet, you know, I stopped doing that. I convince people to make a lifestyle change, because I think that's really empowering and it makes a difference. So if you can get someone to change their diet and reduce their medications and use IV therapies to bring that nutrition back, to bring those stores back. I always kind of give people the visual of having nutritional stores, that we have big tanks. You could picture them that way. And if your tanks are totally empty, it would be like a gas tank. If you only put a little bit in, you can only go so far. And then the more you put in and you fill it up, then you're going to be able to go further. So I think, you know, when it comes to nutrition, science is awesome. And we are so fortunate now that we can actually, you know, provide a lab test that can help patients understand, excuse me, where they are and what they need. I know we've talked about it before. I have a copy of mine. I don't know if this even will show. This
we've
is called
discussed it, the Genova test, right?
This happens to be mine. And if you look at it, you can even see on the first page, I think the first page has something in red, niacin and magnesium. So, you know, for me, those are nutrients I'm lacking. So I love this test, because if someone says, hey, I want an IV therapy, and they're willing to do that test, it gives a very definitive guide. You know, you're missing this, you're missing that, or you have too much of this. And also this particular test looks at heavy metals, which also might require a different kind of IV therapy.
Well, the different kind of IV therapy, are you talking about chelation? Is chelation different than IV therapy?
Chelation's a little bit different because the components, the nutrients are different. I mean, there's a lot of different vitamin IV therapies for a lot of different treatment modalities. For instance, you know, some people may be athletes and they might need an IV with a lot of amino acids because that builds muscle. For some people, the amino acids are vitally important because then they have, you know, more strength. And sometimes people don't maintain their amino acids like others do. And so they need that in their IV. I find that I call it fatigued professionals. And years ago, we used to call our IV, we called it the fatigued professional IV, because you could almost tell those attorneys that were just wiped out. You know, they weren't sleeping, you know, they were working, you know, very long hours. So they were tired and exhausted. So we would, you know, put a lot of amino acids in their IVs because it really tanked them up and gave them a lot of energy. Amino acids are also good for people who have viral loads. It really helps lower that viral load. Whether it's HHV6 or an Epstein-Barr, it kind of helps reduce that.
Or COVID-19?
Or COVID-19, and wow, didn't we get some good press for vitamin C IVs during this time? And I went online on PubMed. I'm not sure if you're familiar with using that, but there were 380 citations for vitamin C therapy, from everything from cancer, restless leg syndrome, you know, to all types of immune issues. And then there were, I think, 580 on magnesium IVs. So there's a lot out there. If you begin to research it, there's just a lot that you can, you know, do for different treatments that people might need. So, you know, just to see that on PubMed is awesome.
Oh yeah, PubMed. But you know, it's interesting. Many of these functional treatments, you know, alternative treatments, they're hard to find. You have to, and so PubMed has been like my go-to, but there's others as well, you know, but this information is hidden. You don't hear about vitamin C, vitamin therapies, infusions, that they've done that in China. That's one of the things that we're doing in Italy and China, but we don't hear about that. We hear, vaccine, resveratrol, no, resveratrol, what's the new one that they're trying to, that just shortens the COVID-19 by
It's
5 days.
Yeah, it's like the hydroxychloroquine. I don't remember the name of it.
Not even. Well, what about that? I mean, just yesterday, the president, who is in his 70s, announced that he's been on hydroxychloroquine. And I am thrilled to see him come out and say, yeah, it's got some, I mean, hundreds of thousands of doctors or patients have been treated. And he said yesterday that many of the doctors and the front line people, the nurses, the people that are taking care of them, that's what they're doing to stay healthy.
I have a patient, Dr. Roger Spar is a good friend of mine, and I had a patient that was diagnosed positive with COVID, and they live in New York. And he has quite a story. I hope to record it at some point. But he went into the New York hospital, sat in the hallway for 4 hours, and they tested him, said, you're positive. They gave him a Z-Pack and sent him home. And so, he ended up, yeah. So, and some Robitussin, I think it was. So I had Dr. Spar, asked him if he would consult with this patient and gave him a protocol. And he started on a peptide, thymosin A, and the hydroxychloroquine. And literally within hours, he was doing significantly better. So it does work. And I guess, rate of the pack's determined by the speed of the leader. I guess our leader is using it, so there must be some merit. I wouldn't, throw that out. I would think it's something we should consider, and it's always patient specific and according to what your practitioner recommends for you as a patient. But certainly I would consider it an option. And it's been around for 39 years. Dr. Spar said it's, successfully been used for other things. So, I think it's worthy of considering.
Yeah. Malaria, lupus, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, those are some few things that are being used. And we were talking about this, off-label brand, they do it all the time. And these are difficult times. We need to be aware that there are other treatments. And, the FDA did not approve interferon alpha. I interviewed Judy Mikovits, and they didn't approve interferon alpha, although there were buyers clubs. There were clubs where people would have a membership, and to get that outside, and they kept getting shut down by the FDA because it wasn't approved by the FDA. And this was helping people with HIV, and they were dying. So, we need to stop this. We need to start saying, okay, well, if a doctor decides that this is something that they want to do, and the patient knows these are the risks, this is what you can do, I think that the FDA should be bypassed in times like these. Just my opinion. I don't like to offer that opinion very often, but we just need to be critical thinkers. That's all.
Well, we need to be open to what works for the patient. I think that's what's most important.
Absolutely.
And I think we have so many beautifully trained physicians that can discern what's going to work best, especially when they know their patients well. So I think, we do need to have a little more openness to be teachable, I think. And, with, COVID-19, it's a very acute respiratory distress syndrome. And so there's a lot of inflammation, and, it's the cytokine storm that causes all that inflammatory response. So, certainly when you're doing things like a vitamin C IV, that's going to help. It's going to prevent infection. It's, going to help with inflammation and, speed healing. I mean, even simple, vitamin C and zinc tablets they've shown will reduce the severity of a cold. So I think, there's, merit to looking at all of these other solutions. I was just delighted that there was so much press around vitamin C IVs. I just love them, and I think they're valuable.
Absolutely.
And, vitamin C is water soluble, so it's in and out of your system in a few days. I mean, you have a benefit from it for a few days, but it's not going to stay around. So that's why you might need to get more than one. I mean, we've had patients who had a cancer diagnosis, and fortunately, I've worked with some amazing oncologists who feel that it does support the treatment of cancer. And, some patients, they make their decision. I'm going to choose to use, my oncologist recommendations, or, but I'm going to blend it with some integrative medicine. So, I think if you find a really good open oncologist, it's really wise to try to find a way to get them to listen to you and work with you. And honestly, if they take the time to study it, they're going to see there's benefit.
Yeah.
In most of the cases I saw over the last 20 years, the vitamin C would actually enhance the chemotherapy and prevent some of the negative side effects of it. So, it makes everybody look good. I feel good. So I think it's worth it. I mean, I don't think it's 100%. I don't think there's anything you could say that's 100%. But each person
has different requirements.
Yeah.
But vitamin C is not something that the body produces. Like a dog, if a dog gets sick, they go into a little corner and their body starts producing the vitamin C required to get better. They'll go out there and start eating some grass. Hopefully it's not been treated with pesticides, but they'll go out there and they'll start treating themselves instinctively. No one trained the dog to do that. And so, if we can just, because the body does not, our human body does not produce vitamin C. That is something that we will always need, whether it's in our food, which today the food isn't the same quality as it was before. So that's why supplements and IVs, because when I am getting one of your IVs at Live Longer Medical, I'm getting 100% of the vitamin C, right? Not 60% or 40% of it.
You're going to get all of it, right? Because it's immediately available to your cells. Yes, it's right there.
And again, for those of you who have any questions for Lisa, we were talking about IV therapy. Make sure you type in a Q, whether you're watching live on YouTube at Lillian McDermott Radio Show, or if you're watching on Facebook at Lillian's Radio Show, make sure that you type in a Q and we'll ask your question. Let us know where you're from. Send us some love, because we cannot see how many people are watching at this point, or where you're watching from. Okay, so we talked about, COVID-19 and how there are certain IVs that we can do, whether it's a flu or COVID-19, so to speak. But what other conditions? You had mentioned earlier, when you're exhausted, maybe that's your adrenals or whatever. Are there other conditions that benefit getting the intravenous therapy?
A few that come to mind would be things like chronic fatigue, people who are chronically fatigued. I mean, you can have a situational fatigue, a big stressor in your life or a big project, and you're just wiped out. It's always a good benefit to get ahead of getting sick. Get an IV when you feel that you're drained.
Yes.
And then things like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, it works wonderfully for that. Things like chelation help with heart disease, or people with heavy metals. There's a lot of study for the treatment of heart disease and people who have calcification. So that's, a wonderful treatment. We've used things for people even with lupus or autoimmune diseases, when people have had scleroderma or arthritis, because it is an anti-inflammatory and it really helps. People who have even things like Parkinson's and MS, there are always benefits to that, because some of those are neurological and they affect nerve endings. And so things like magnesium can be very helpful. And, again, for people who have a propensity to show a deficiency in certain nutrients, it's just a good idea to create your own personalized protocol that works for you and gives back to your body what it needs, so that you are functioning optimally, and that also it can, increase your longevity, help you live longer.
Live Longer Medical.
There you go.
I'm gonna stop there, because Live Longer Medical is a sponsor of the classroom, and I just wanted to take the time to encourage all of you to go to livelongermedical.com, or you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. And while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, please subscribe, because we are I'm still working on my website. My website, something went wrong with it. Don't know what. In 1 week, we had the foundation, the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation, get hit, and the whenyouneedafriend.com got hit also at the same time. Coincidence? I don't know. And so with that, we're still working on trying to get some of the shows back, some of the classes back into the past shows, but make sure that if we get censored, that you know where to find me, which is whenyouneedafriend.com. While they're subscribed. While in there, again, also you can click onto my social medias, follow, like, also YouTube, subscribe. BitChute, you just go click on those buttons and subscribe, because BitChute is now my little baby that we are trying to nurture and move everybody there, because they promise never to censor. Our rights, our First Amendment is protected. So that whether you like what I say or not like what I say, you have the right to say it. And so those are some of the things that you will find when you become a subscriber. You're going to get some free gifts. You get my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. You will also get a meditation and discounted prices. So click onto my sponsors page. And when you go there, you will see my sponsors page, like Nori, which is a Nutritional Oncology Research Institute, Keep Me Safe Organics, which is organic beauty products from head to toe. Again, get some discounts price. First Alternative Care, which is 24/7 non-urgent family practice, dermatology, and 3 hours a year of behavioral health counseling for the entire household for $45 a month, or $35 if you don't want the portal. The pharmacy in Merritt Island, love them at the pharmacy. Again, mention my name, get a discount. Affiliate sponsors like Ground Therapy, Brain Tap. You can go there and start getting Brain Tap, because you get 15-day free trial. Just go there. You don't have to give any of your information. If you don't like it in 15 days, you don't have to renew. But if you do the 45 days for 99 cents, that's a good deal. I think Lisa did that one. That's how she got the introduction. And then also finally, Live Longer Medical. Live Longer Medical, you can find Live Longer Medical at livelongermedical.com, or also you can click onto the sponsors page and it'll link them to their page. You could also call 321-327-2980 to make an appointment. And now they do telemedicine options too. So those are different ways that Lisa and her team can take care of you. So please make sure you support my sponsors the way that they are supporting the classroom. Now, another thing that you can do is you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. And with that, you can donate your time, your talent, your treasure. So help out, help the classroom grow in any way that you can. So today we are talking with Live Longer Medical, Lisa Geyer. Once a month, you're here in the classroom to help educate us that there's more than what we are being told. So IV therapy is something that I have opted to do. Live Longer Medical is where I go to get my IV therapy. The last time I had IV therapy, because you guys were just closed, how does it feel to be back opened, Lisa?
Oh, it feels like we're coming alive again. Yeah, it's a good thing. And we'll start doing IVs probably in the next week or two, kind of building up our staff a bit right now. So we will start to do all those cool things.
That's
We're
wonderful.
excited.
That's what I'm looking forward to going back, because that's the thing I did right before, because I had spent, and I've shared this with all of you. I spent 2 weeks with my mom, 1 week taking care of my mom and dad, being there for my mom and dad while my dad had surgery. And that was the time that we're beginning the lockdown and the quarantine. And then 1 week with my mom here. So the week between being with my mom and dad at their place and my mom coming here, I called Lisa, and Lisa hooked me up. I mean, literally, you hooked me up. And so what was in my IV when I went there? Because I was feeling run down from lack of sleep, being around a bird that shed, and I'm kind of allergic to birds. So.
Oh, no. So we gave you an IV. It had a lot of vitamin C. You had a large amount. I don't remember exactly, but I remember we added a little bit.
Yeah, it was like 25 grams.
I'm pretty sure it would have been at least that much. Yeah. And then you had magnesium, you had calcium. We put some extra zinc. And I think we put biotin in your IV because we kind of gave you a modified, what we call a beauty IV. But again, we try to personalize our IVs. I know there's like I just don't believe in one size fits all. I mean, we do have things that we call our basic, and we have a beauty IV, and we have an immune IV, and we have an anti-hangover IV. You know, we have all of these that we offer.
An
But,
anti-hangover IV? Can
yeah.
you tell more about that?
So, people can go out and they can have too much to drink, and the next day they can feel a little hungover.
Mhm.
So, one thing you can do for some people preventatively, they'll come in and get an IV before they're going to go out and drink. And for them, it works. Some people will come in the day after, if possible, if we have a schedule that permits, they'll come in and get an IV after. So, again, it has vitamin C in it. We have a lot of the basic nutrients that I call them basic, the vitamin C, calcium, magnesium. But the cool thing about the anti-hangover IV is that we always use a glutathione, and we give glutathione as a push because it doesn't last very long. If you put it in an IV, it's not always the best way to get it. So we give it as a push. And it depends on the person and their weight and if, how they tolerate it, because it can give you a headache. You have to push it really slow. So we're really careful about that. But it's one of the strongest antioxidants that you can give. And it really helps a hangover. It's like cleaning your liver. I would just say it's like cleaning your liver.
Interesting,
So-
because you are so that I don't know if you saw the class with Dr. Horowitz or Dr. Roundtree. Both of them said that COVID-19, they were both treating their patients with glutathione.
Yeah.
So that would
it's
be
a
a great
wonderful-
IV for people with flu.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely a staple for people who have the flu when they come in. That's definitely the thing you want to give, because it's a really wonderful antioxidant, and just really cleans out that liver and starts to get them well. So definitely something I'd recommend if you're, think you're getting sick, or if you're starting to feel run down. We usually start people low with glutathione and kind of build depending on what they can tolerate. I take 6 mLs, which is about 1,200 milligrams, but not everybody can even take that much. I know people that take way more than that. So it varies from person to person. And again, we make it very personal.
That's great. And
needs are.
the first time somebody goes to have an IV, what do you recommend they do? I mean, should they tell that this is the first time they've done it? They don't know how they're going to respond.
We try to do a very a light IV, or what we call a basic, just to get them used to it and just see how they do with an IV. If you're really toxic, if you're just someone who, you've just been exposed to a lot of, stuff, whether it's drinking or addiction to something, or you've been on a lot of medications, or you've had chemotherapy, just something that you've been very toxic with. When you get an IV with vitamin C, it's going to begin to help your body detoxify. So it's always a good idea to make sure, you start slow, start low and go slow. So that's kind of our motto. We do that in the beginning. Now, some people will come in and they've had them other places and they actually have their own protocol, and we've used that too. So, it depends on the person and kind of what their needs are.
And if they've done the Genova test that you promote at Live Longer Medical, then you will know exactly what to do, but you still need to know how their absorption rate is, right?
And again, everyone's so different. And you can tell when you get an IV, when we would have really sick patients, like chronic fatigue patients, I would always say, you've got to get 5 before you really can tell what it's doing for you.
Okay.
So when you've had something going on, kind of the magic number is 5, and it's just a good place to start. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you had shared with me, like right now you just mentioned, 2 things. One, well, you mentioned a lot of things, but 2 things that kind of jumped out was something that you shared. So one of them is hangovers, right? So
Yes.
and then you referred to addiction. I'm not saying that everybody who's had a hangover is addicted, but I'm
No,
saying
it
that
can make you toxic. Yeah.
yeah. So you had mentioned something about an NAD. Can you mention something about that? It's a black bag.
Well, it's not a black bag. I'm not sure where
It
that
says
came.
new to our black bag. So it's new to your black bag. So it's your,
Oh, it's new to our black bag. Yes, yes.
yes.
It's new to something that we're not using yet. I have used it historically in another clinic, but we're looking at introducing that. And it is used for patients with addiction, but it's really, being touted as another anti-aging IV adjunctive therapy. So, for people who maybe really want more of that anti-aging effect, it's a wonderful thing to get. But there are clinics that they specifically use NAD just for addiction. So, it's, very beneficial for
Interesting. Yeah. So it helps reduce the desire to do whatever it is that's causing them their addiction.
Right. It does.
Okay, so I want to take a little break because I'm seeing some messages here. For those of you who have a question, make sure you type in a Q because sometimes we don't stop for comments. But I want to say hi to Victoria and Paris. Thank you so much for joining us. So she says, sounds to me like somebody doesn't like what you're doing even, oh, you're talking about, helping people. I get there like the pharmaceutical company that kills the paper, keep you guys in prayer. Thank you. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that are taking a stand that whether it's true or not true, I'm just saying that they're, Erin Elizabeth is really good at talking about people that have been suicided because of taking a stand. And if you're talking about my website, because I just now are looking at that, pray for all of us who are taking a stand on all this information. And so Deidre, you're back. Thank you for doing this. Great information. Good. I'm glad that you like it. Paris, God bless you. I believe in the alternative medicine. It's a wonderful food for your medicine, chelation, all that stuff is wonderful. Yes, it is. And she wants to know if there is a way that you could let her know if there's anyone like this in Virginia that does. Do you know anybody in Virginia?
So I don't, but there's a really good website that she could go to.
Okay.
It's a4m.com. And when you get there, just go to directory. And you can put your city in and it'll bring up physicians that are in the area. Look for an integrative doctor that offers IV therapies. And when you call the clinic, ask how long they've been doing it. I mean, it seems like they're popping up everywhere, but these people haven't been doing them very long. I mean, I have protocols that are 20 years old and, we've modified them here and there, but you want somebody who really has some experience with IV therapies. So when you call their offices, just ask those questions. But there's so many out there now that are providing the IV therapies. And you want to make sure, one of the things I always tell people, ask what do they use? What type of B12 do they use in their IV? We use either hydroxycobalamin or we use methylcobalamin. I don't recommend cyanocobalamin. Okay. It's just not a good form of B12, but methylcobalamin, excuse me, is really good for your nerve endings. It has a real healing effect. In fact, they use those injections for Bell's palsy. Like you can get IM injections for that, and it's fabulous. You have to get several, but it really works. So I just always say that's kind of a little barometer, and you can also make sure they don't use preservatives in their vitamin C.
So that's the letter A, the number 4, the letter M.
Like Mary, yes.
From Mary. So A apple 4, the number 4, M as in Mary. So a4m.com.
Yes, they have a great directory. Yes.
Great. So hopefully that'll help Paris. And I know you're saying that you're translating from German to English, but that's fine. I can't speak German, but you can speak English. So here we go. That's wonderful. Are you watching? She's watching from Virginia. But so for those of you who are watching from all over, I'd love to. I just tuned in. I just went to the post office with all the winners of the last the anniversary, my anniversary class, and they were from all over. The winners were from Texas and Oregon and New York, New Jersey. It was just wonderful to see how the world is coming together in this classroom. That's why my classroom has gotten so much bigger. We have all these seats, and I hope that you guys are sitting there. I know Victoria is always in the front row center. She's always there. And I always love seeing her, as well as all of you tune in. Now, okay, so this is one of the things that you had mentioned, Bell's palsy, but Lyme disease. How does IV therapy help people with Lyme disease?
Well, it helps in a lot of ways. It improves immunity. And again, with even Lyme's disease or even people with chronic fatigue, one of the things we do as a standard of care is a heavy metal test, because all of these people have been exposed in some ways to different things. Not everyone, but it's the majority of the cases have some exposure to something. And so even with Lyme's disease, there's all kinds of things you can do, is for antivirals and to kind of combat any bacterial issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
We do another treatment, Lily, that is called UVB. I can't remember if I put that on your list.
Yeah,
I did.
it is. It was. Yeah.
It's people call it the power of light. It's a light therapy. It's being studied. Even Duke University's been doing a study using it with cancer. It's been used for lots of different viral conditions. So this is another good one during this time. But it basically, you draw up enough blood in a syringe, and it goes through the light, and then it goes back through the light, and the light cleans it. I mean, this is my simplified version.
You have that at Live Longer Medical?
We do. However, I have a brand new unit that I just got. And so we're going to go through all new training with the UVB. But, I had patients with even things like Hep C, and it successfully treated that. It's been used for cancer, fatigue, people with HHV6, things like Epstein-Barr. It's really, really a wonderful, wonderful therapy. And years ago, I trained in Europe with Dr. Ursula Jacob. It's Jacob. She's a phenomenal physician. She has become a very close friend of mine. And I wish that I could go see her more often, because she's just brilliant. And if I have really, 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 really tough cases, I will actually recommend they consult with her. And she'll do consultations, and she'll come to the US. But I learned about stem cells and stem cell treatments from her long ago, before it was in vogue. And so she does a lot of those things, but they use UVB so routinely there. It is just very commonly used.
Yeah.
And I give a little book. There's a book that people can get in our office, and it kind of explains it. It's a cute little, very brief explanation, that's used for chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, infections, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, MRSA, shingles, herpes, circulation issues, lupus, Lyme, and it's an adjunctive cancer therapy. So there's lots of things you can do with that treatment. And, again, once we have all of our IV therapies up and running again, we'll be offering that too.
Awesome. I'll be there.
It's
Because
cool.
I still think I have some, leftover stuff from last year, from having my implants removed last year, that, there's still, there's still probably things going on from that silicone, but I'm excited to be in the men's and not have to worry about that. And talk about a blessing. The car accident that I was in 3 years, caused the problem with my left breast, and we thought that it was ruptured, but it had been moved and shifted. For those of you who want to go to YouTube, I've got the breast implant surgery that I have, all from the day before I had the surgery all the way, and all the classes that we did. So you can go to that. And I also want to say hello to all my friends on YouTube. I'm excited. Myrna's there, Haley, Chris. And so thank you so much for watching on YouTube. We have a lot more people watching on YouTube as well, but unless you write something I don't know, you're there. So I love the people that are that let us know that you're watching as well. And and Linda, welcome back. And Camilla, I hope you sent me your address, because you won the book from Cassandra. So there's so much going on in the classroom. And I think every month, I'm going to start giving away some of the books that were left over from the radio stations that people didn't claim. Their loss is your gain. So what do you want us all, Lisa, as we are looking at IV therapy? I am so for IV therapy, especially if you know where your source is from. So now with China, they are a big provider of ascorbic vitamin C, and many of the vitamin C that comes from China has GMO. Right. How do you know that your vitamin C is responsibly sourced?
So I highly recommend you know your compounding pharmacy. Okay. The one I recommend that I'm using a lot is Pure Pharmacy, and that's Linda Hayes, and she's in Carmel, Indiana. I just know her as a person of integrity, and what she provides is always very, very high quality. So, regardless of where you are, know where you're getting it and who's making it for you. That's just so vitally important. And then also just to, question. Recently, I was asked by a company, did I want to get their pre-made IV bags? And I thought, wow, that would make life quicker. But, you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't trust I just want to know what my patients are getting. So, that's just something that I think is really important to consider. Ask your practitioner.
And it's okay to ask. You see, how do you recommend? Because you're focused on nutrition. I mean, your background is nutrition. Right. That's your background. So yes. You have to deal with doctors and nurse practitioners and people that wear that white coat. You also wear a white coat too. But we have been programmed to kind of fear and revere our doctors. Yeah. And it's scary sometimes to ask these questions. What is your advice to us that want to make sure that what is being put in our body is what we want to be put into our body?
First of all, I think if you're working with a practitioner that makes you have that fear, that would be a red flag for me. I heard somebody say the other day that people don't care what you know until they know you care. And I think it's important that if you are working with someone that is managing your well-being, your health, that you have a relationship with them. It is not like it used to be 50 or 100 years ago, when you went to the doctor and they were your mini god. And it's just not that way. We should be participants in our health. We should be knowledgeable and empowered. And I think the more knowledge you have, the more powerful, not only your response to the treatment, but the more you'll own it and it becomes a part of who you are and you'll heal. So I think, take time to know your practitioner. And if you don't feel comfortable with the one you have, I just get out there and begin to interview people. I mean, people can email me and I'm happy to help them. If I know of someone in their area, I'm fine giving out my email. That's fine with me. I'll respond as I'm able to, but I think it's critical you do get a practitioner that is going to go the extra mile. We just changed our patient scheduling, partly as a result of COVID-19, but partly because we felt like we wanted to give people the time and we want to be able to understand who they are and what they need. So we have changed our schedule and how we're providing that care. So, if somebody's got 7 minutes with you, I don't think that's going to give enough time to be genuinely a part of your healing or really find that root cause of illness. We used to say, if you listen long enough, a patient will tell you what they need. Yeah. So, another thing we shifted in our practice is patients will meet with me by phone for about 30 minutes just for me to understand their history and what's going on. And we document that as part of their chart. So I think it's something that, our understanding of a person's history is vitally important. I remember a chronic fatigue patient or several, they would say many times, I had a flu and I just never got over it. And, that's really important information, because that could mean they have a viral load that they've just, really not been able to get over. So, things like that are important. You might not hear it unless you listen long enough.
Well, I tell you what, for those of you who also, we did the class last month with hormone, get your sexy back. And I know that because we use the name sexy, it's been kind of like blocked a little bit, but please watch that as well, because there's so much that we don't even know we could feel better. Until we try different things,
right.
And you had earlier said, if we don't put gas in our gas tank, the more gas you have in there, the longer you can run. And if we take that analogy and put sand in our gas tank and then be surprised that it's not running, that's insane. So we would never do that with our car, but yet we do that with our body. So it's time. It's time to take our health back. And so I'm always grateful to you. Live Longer Medical. You can call 321-327-2980. And they're in Indian, Florida. A nice little flight to Florida. We have very little problems here when it comes to we're getting back into the swing of things, so it'll be a great vacation spot, and you could see Lisa Geyer and her team as well. So I want to encourage all of you to check out Live Longer Medical, whether it's if you want to consult with her, then go ahead and do so. So thank you so much. We're going to continue. If you're listening on podcasts, we're going to continue afterwards for just a little bit. Any questions that you might have, we will take care of them then. Lisa Geyer, just absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for everything that you do to bring us, to empower us to ask the right questions. Please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Lisa Geyer, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life. The Lillian McDermott Show.
Okay, we're going to start all over again. Okay, we are so happy that you teachers' pets have stayed till the end. I'm sure you have some questions. If you feel like you are shy about asking questions, you can always text me at 407-373-5959. That is a private way that you can communicate with me during the classroom. And that way you don't have, if because sometimes there's like last month, Lisa, when we were talking about, all these other things that had to do with hormones and
orgasms
and the O shot and the P shot. I'm like, but some people do not want to be associated with that question. 407-373-5959 is the number where you can text me. You can text me if you have a topic that you would like Lisa to discuss or discuss in the classroom. That I'm always open to, because this is our classroom. So today we talked about IV therapy, and no, we did not coordinate our outfits. Isn't that funny?
That is 2 months in a row.
Last month was red.
Wow.
Okay, so maybe next time we'll do black. I don't know. But anyway, so for those of you, IV therapy, I had heard about IV therapy for many years. Now let's just talk here. Let's roll up our sleeves and talk. And I was told that I could overdose on IV therapy by a doctor, which, by the way, was I ended up, before I started doing the classroom, I looked at doctors as gods. That's how, that's how I viewed doctors. And it's not that I don't think that they deserve respect. They do. Yeah. But today, the way I feel today is that if you look at your doctor and they don't look healthy, fire them. Because if they can't take care of themselves, how are they going to take care of you? Well, this particular doctor, going back, if I were to look at them today, knowing what I know today, back then, I would have fired them. For them to tell me that I could overdose and die from IV therapy, what would you say about that?
Oh, well, I guess you could overdose from anything. Anything out of balance could be a problem. I just can't imagine it with IV therapies because it would take an awful lot. They're water soluble.
Yeah, but wait. IV therapy, vitamin C overdose is diarrhea.
That's if you take it orally. You don't usually have that problem when you take it in an IV.
Oh, that's great. So really, I mean,
because it bypasses the gut. Yeah.
So, I mean, in all the years since 1994, have you seen anyone or heard of any case where they overdosed and died?
No, I honestly, and we've done in my other clinic, it was well over 100,000, maybe almost 200,000 IVs that we had done in that amount of time. So I honestly, personally have never, ever seen a reaction. I mean, we've had patients who have like a vasovagal reaction where they they might faint because of needles, but not because of their IV. I've never seen that.
Well, what do you do with people that are afraid of needles? Let's just.
That hasn't happened very often. And honestly, if you have really good staff, they're really good at comforting your patients and making sure that they're comfortable. We've even used a little lidocaine cream for IV therapies, and it numbs the area so they don't even feel it. My youngest daughter used to hand me the tape and the gauze and the needle when I used to do IV therapies, and now I have to really push her. So, she's one that we kind of baby. I had a friend once who was a doctor, and when she was giving her kids a shot or an IV, she'd punch them in the arm first so they wouldn't feel it. She'd slap them, so to speak, so they would be distracted. I just haven't really seen very much of that over the years. People get their blood drawn. It's kind of the same thing. Smaller needle in some cases.
Yeah. Well, I know you give me that tiny little needle. I remember the last time we did the IV, you said, "Oh my God, your body was so depleted. I sucked it in my body." Oh my
God, you got that IV so fast.
It was so fast. And so the faster it absorbs into your body, is that a sign that the body was depleted?
I don't really know. I don't think so. But you needed it. And
I just,
and you had a good vein. You have really good veins anyway. So you're
the only one that says that because you love me. Okay. Everybody says, "Oh, you have rolling veins," but you hit it just right. Now I'm looking down and my cousin Doreen, I'm so excited that you're watching here today. She just had her IV today. Best thing ever. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Good.
So the word ever must run in the family. Best thing ever. Yes, Doreen, it is. I love IV therapy. I wish I could get it more. How often can you get, like you were talking about vitamin C? I know that you added a little magnesium because I was chilling.
Yeah.
You could have said,
we didn't talk about that. Yeah. And for magnesium for women, sometimes they can feel it because it's stimulating. Just to say it gently. For women, magnesium can be very stimulating, and it does relax you, and it does chill you out. That's why it's really good with anxiety patients. People who don't sleep, of course, magnesium before bed's a good idea. But what was the question you asked me? And I apologize. I forget.
No, how often can you? Well, I had said that when you did my IV, I was chilling.
Yeah.
Because
that's the magnesium.
I just felt really chilled, very relaxed. Yeah. I'm like, what did you put in here?
Yeah, I love magnesium.
A little bit of wine? What did you put in here?
I used to have patients say, "Gee, could we have an IV wine party?" I don't know if that you could really do that, but that would be fun. Yeah. I don't think I would probably do that, but at any rate, so how many can you get? That varies practitioner to practitioner and patient to patient. Some physicians might recommend more than others, but we've had patients that would get 2 IVs a week.
Oh, really? That many?
When they're sick, yeah.
Oh, when you're sick, but when you're healthy, preventative maintenance.
For me, I would get 1 a week. That's just my thing. I love to get 1 a week because I just know I'm tanked up for the week. And I know that my immune system is made strong that way.
Love
That's
that. Tanked up. No
Yeah.
sand in your tank, right?
No.
Okay, so last words of wisdom. Anything that you would like to share helps? Oh, Doreen said it helps me with a lot of underlying conditions. Would you like to share some more? Privately, you know my private my number. One of the things that we need to understand is that when we choose something natural, it absorbs into the body as it's recognized in the body. But
Right.
we're talking about when we put things that are synthetic in the body, such as food, the body looks at it as an intruder.
Right.
So how important, and I guess I asked this before, but I want to ask it again, how important is it that our IV be natural?
Well, yeah, again, that's another one that's patient to patient. Some people are so sensitive and they wouldn't do well with things like preservatives. And
So you can ask that question. You can say, are there any preservatives in your IV?
right, I would ask it.
What are some of the preservatives that they would put in there?
I don't even remember because we don't order them that way. So I don't know. I mean, I get all of mine from a compounding pharmacy.
Well, you can
that I
just ask the
trust.
question, what preservatives are there? And
Yeah,
they
I would
say,
ask, especially if you're sensitive. I mean, if there are people who have allergies to certain preservatives, they have to make that known to their practitioner.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, very
that's
good.
super
very
important.
good. Very good. Well, I'm excited that Doreen, Doreen is a bit of a celebrity chef, and she has her,
No.
oh, she does. She's
Nice.
got quite a following. She's got her own book called
Wow.
La Cocina No Muerde, and The Kitchen Don't Bite. So I don't know if you have a Facebook page, Doreen, that has Kitchen Doesn't Bite, or if
I would
it's just
love to see it.
La Cocina No Muerde. So she specializes in beautiful culture kind of foods.
Oh,
So
fun.
she came to Florida for, she came to Melbourne or Cocoa Beach for the Uncorked, where they do the wine. She went and she did a demo. So she is
nice.
considered a celebrity chef. Yes, there
Oh.
are celebrities in our family. Doreen is one of them. So
Oh,
it's
I'd
nice to
love to
see
get
that.
a copy of that. That would be
Okay, well, maybe she can come on and talk about, because we do the healthier version. She says yes. Let's see what she said. Oh boy, she said, okay, yes, I do under my name in social media. So is it Doreen Colondres or DB Colondres? I don't know. I'm not sure. And she said, thanks for the love. Of course, thanks for the love. Of course, I'm going to love you. I'm very proud of my cousin. She's just an absolutely beautiful, energetic, dynamic individual. So thank you so much, Doreen, for watching today. I hope that you continue to grace us with your presence. And who knows, maybe she'll be a guest teacher in the classroom, and we'll do her Spanish foods kind of like in a healthy
Wouldn't that
way.
be fun?
Yes,
Like
yes,
a little
yes.
cooking class. That would
A
be
cooking class, yes.
awesome.
I went to a Puerto Rican place today. Interestingly enough, they were closed, and I was like, I didn't even know. I think I shared that with you, that there was a Puerto Rican restaurant, and we found out about it because we were going around and we saw it, but it was closed, and he'd only been open 9 months, and he wasn't sure he was going to open after the shutdown. But today, I mean, I saw he was open, and I just like pulled in because I wanted to, support him.
Oh, yeah.
And, and it was very hard for me to support him. So I ended up buying something that I normally would never buy. And then I found out that everything had pork in it, the powdered adobo, which has MSG. And I'm like, you change your menu and I will get you on my show. You change your menu. He had nothing vegan. Not everything. The only thing that he had vegan was deep fried. And so those are some of the things. And I'm going to challenge him, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to show up.
You go, girl.
I am. Because we can make, food that's ethnic or that we love. We can make it to be tasty as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So Doreen, it's Doreen Colondres. So there's her information.
Text it to me. That would be awesome.
I will. Okay, guys, anything that you would like for us to know that we haven't discussed yet before we finished our podcast earlier? Is there anything that you would like to add, Lisa, that we need to know to empower us?
Well, I think I would just repeat what I said. Make sure you find a credible practitioner that has experience in the more integrative world, and that their focus is on the root cause of illness. Just doling out Band-Aids for, conditions is not productive. It's not curative. And I think you do need a practitioner that cares. And, I think that's important. So,
Well, yeah, some of the conditions that you said, autoimmune, neurological, improved memory, mood, depression, flu, infection, Lyme disease, mold exposure, migraines, fibromyalgia, detoxification, heavy metal toxicity, Parkinson's disease, chronic fatigue, anxiety, and low immune system, just to name a few.
right.
So no one, like I said, is chemotherapy deficient. No one is radiation deficient. No one is Zoloft deficient. No one
Right.
is, you
Right.
name it, oxycodone deficient. So those are things that if your body needs it, if you give the body what it needs,
Right.
it will do just
Yeah.
beautiful. It'll be like
Yeah.
that beautifully run car that you talked about. But if we continually put sand in our gas tank and are shocked that the car
Yeah.
won't run,
Yeah.
then we need to really reevaluate
Yeah.
what we consider healthy and what we not. And so
Right.
even if you're healthy, if you try some of these IV therapies, and you think, oh my God, I could feel better.
Life-changing for many people. Yeah.
It is, and it's good to get Doreen's unsolicited opinion. So that's really
Yeah,
good for someone
that
who's
was
doing
nice.
that. It does help. And so if you are in the Florida area and you want to check out Live Longer Medical, where I go to get my IV therapy and other things, now that we're going to be talking about hormone replacement therapy, I started on something just between us.
Yeah.
And all of you who are watching, I'm going to be starting with, I'm going to go visit Tina and do some hormonal replacement therapy. We have not
Good.
discussed 100% what's going to be, but I just start a therapy that she had mentioned. So I'm excited to see.
Good.
And after 2 days of just one day of being on, I slept so much better. So
Yay. Oh, I'm so glad. That's
yeah,
awesome.
for some reason, I am estrogen deficient. The way Tina said it, you've got traces of estrogen.
That was
So
very
that
polite.
Oh yeah, and testosterone. So, I can only imagine. I feel great now. I can only imagine how much more I will feel, I'm not going to say more better because I know that's not proper English, how much better I will feel by taking the step and saying, okay, help my body help itself with a natural form of hormones to just get me started. You got me started. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for watching today. I am excited about learning more about IV therapy. If you are too, you can reach out to Live Longer Medical at 321-327-2980. You can also go to my website at whenyouneedafriend.com, check out my sponsors, click on Live Longer Medical, and it'll take you right to Lisa. And Lisa suggested the A4M because she is A4M certified. That's a good place to start for those of you who are not in Florida, cannot go to Live Longer Medical. And I'm grateful, Lisa, for all the information that you always give us. So thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. Love
Thank
doing
you.
it.
Okay, bye, guys. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us today.